IVM.
Hi,
You're
listening to IVM
Daily.
Hi guys, and welcome to IVM Daily, the show where IVM staffers tell what's on their mind. So today, Abbas and Jaanam are joining me in the studio, and what are we talking about today, Abbas?
Who are you?
I'm Gaurav, yeah.
Hi, Gaurav.
Hi, Gaurav.
So Abbas, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about news. We're talking about how we get our news in today's world, how, if at all, it has changed from how we used to get news. And just newsy stuff in general, Gaurav, is what we're going to talk about.
So we couldn't get any news to actually talk about, so we're talking about how we actually get our news today.
No, we got too much of news and we couldn't select what specific news to talk about.
Yeah, I think all of us had different things to talk about.
So we were like, let's talk about news in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Jaanam, let's start off with you. How do you get your news?
So I have this app called InShorts. That's
Okay.
INSHORTS. So this app is so convenient because firstly, you don't have to make any effort to open the app also. It just sends you push notifications of the headlines. So like when, for example, when Sridevi passed away, I was checking my phone in the morning and there was a push notification saying Sridevi passes away.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God.
That's why you're the first person to break it on the WhatsApp group. Someone passed, guys, Stephen Hawking is no more. Guys,
same thing happened
passed
with
away.
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and even if you open the app, if you click on the notification and you open it, the entire news is summed up in like 60 words or less, 100 words.
Okay.
Just like one paragraph
Right.
explaining everything
Just
that's
the
happened.
gist of it.
Yeah. And in today's times when you don't have time to sit and read entire chunks of articles, you just read that little paragraph and you are pretty much updated with everything. Like you're
And
to
in
know.
shorts, I've used it too. It's quite good to actually filter the kind of news you want to get.
Oh,
So
really?
if you're
Okay.
only interested in a certain sort of field or something, you can decide on getting only that kind of
Oh,
news.
I didn't know this. I
Yeah.
should try it because I've been getting these cricket notifications and
Yeah,
that's
you can
annoying
totally
me.
turn that off. You
Yeah,
can totally turn
I
that
will.
kind of thing off. And also the thing is, if you really want to read more about a certain article, they link it wherever they summarized their information from. They link. There's a link over there to the full article over there.
So it's like a compilation of various news sources, and this is a platform
Basically
which does it.
summarizing things up, so it's much easier for you to like absorb knowledge at a quicker
Yeah.
rate. I mean,
It's
for
a
our
lot-
lazy generation, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot like Flipboard. If you've used Flipboard.
Nope.
Okay, so Flipboard is it's an international platform. It's similar to InShorts except that it's more worldwide coverage.
So
Yeah.
is in shorts India specific or
Yeah,
is it?
it's an
or it is
Indian
India
app.
specific? Oh, okay.
This episode is not sponsored by InShorts.
But if you're listening in shorts, we are open to any kind of
Sponsorship.
collaboration and sponsorship. But the thing is that, don't you find that annoying? Because I remember I had the NDTV News app and I actually uninstalled it because I was annoyed by the amount of push notifications it would send.
You do realize you can turn off your push notifications.
I can, but then what's the point of having a news?
You open the app and check. I mean, you're saying, oh, they send push notifications.
No, but they
oh,
would-
But now, what's the point if they don't?
They would send push notifications about like the Sensex and stuff, which I had no interest in.
So
I'm
I
like,
think maybe that's the part where he said that you switch off. You only
you
select
can filter the news. I mean, that's the thing about
topics you're interested in.
InShorts.
so apps is basically where you get your news from.
I mean, that's Jaanam. I
Yeah.
mean,
I
What about
actually
you?
have another confession to make. So
Sure.
I don't. I'm not subscribed to any newspaper, so there's no newspaper that comes to my house.
You
And
don't need to
there is
guess
no-
because neither am I.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Also, there's no cable connection in my house.
Well, same here.
So
Same. No.
it's like I'm completely cut off from the traditional sources of
Right.
media. But I feel that's kind of useless because
Exactly.
you just
don't
have
feel,
your phone
Yeah.
and everything is in real time, man. You
Exactly.
don't need these newspapers. And I honestly use newspapers just no.
I want to see you complete that.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going to say.
No, just
To
to like
pack things.
clean stuff like घर का सफाई वफाई करने के लिए.
To all the journalists listening to this, you know where your hard work is going to. But here's the thing, right? You spoke about lack of attention span for our generation, right?
Right.
And and you mentioned you get in 60 words, you get to know whatever you
Yeah.
want. I think now I don't regularly read. Maybe I shouldn't say this on air, but it's true. I mean, I don't read a newspaper regularly. I skim through it, but the only times I actually genuinely do read it is when on weekends they have these opinion pieces, where if it's a writer who's written an op-ed column about something, that's the only time I read it. And I think that's the major difference now, that if you want to get you don't feel the need to
get
the news in depth. Like if there's an incident that happened, as long as you just know the gist of it, you're more, because there is so much information exposed to us and we want to dip our toes in all of it.
Right.
So we just feel like, okay, I got a gist of this, what it is, I got a gist of that. So yeah, that's, I think, as opposed to, let's say, my parents who still read, especially my mom, still reads the newspaper from cover to cover.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's like, what's the point of, reading it on an app or whatever, unless she needs to read those words black on white to actually for her to absorb that, and which is the reason my mom is still always more aware of what's going.
Maybe she should be on this podcast
she
too.
She should be. Yeah, she's always more aware of what's going in the world than we are. But do you, Gaurav, do you still... so you were shocked when we said we don't get newspapers. Do you still read newspaper every day?
I mean, I was just shocked because my dad has been after me to read newspapers for a very long time. So recently I got a subscription to newspapers to my house.
Which newspaper do you subscribe to?
The Economics Time and...
Oh, damn, like serious stuff.
Times of India.
And it's not
Times of India.
It's not the Economics Time, it's
like...
the Economic Times.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You get the gist of what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay, that's all you care about. So, okay, you got it. So, I mean, I get it, but the thing I hate about newspapers is how big they are. And I don't mean like that as a content. I mean the size of the paper. I spread it out and then I'm like, how do I handle this paper properly to read it?
Nowadays
and
one of the worst.
So small.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the worst things about newspapers these days is the first 3-4 pages are just
advertised.
ads.
Yeah.
It's very, very commercialized these days.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's also jumped onto their online versions, because whenever I log on to any news article on any newspaper website, they have these pop-up ads, man, and they irritate me so much that sometimes, and it's like one after the other, so I just give up on reading the article altogether.
Right.
And the worst one is sometimes when you go on these news websites, some random video will start playing in the sidebar somewhere, right now, and then it instantly distracts me so much that again I don't feel the need to stay on the page.
I think they make the user interface on purpose bad for these websites, because why would they want to give you free news when you can subscribe to their newspapers? I mean, that might be it, because I've never really enjoyed the user interface of online news unless it's something like what's trending on Google. I think the most information I actually get is just through networking, just talking to people and on social media, seeing what everyone is talking about, what everyone is interested in, because I think in today's world it's not only what is happening, it's what everyone is talking about.
That's what. So here's a cycle of how I get news. Okay, I log on to Twitter. Okay, there are 5 people making jokes about the news that broke. So I first read the jokes and I don't get them. I'm like, so I need to know what the joke is, what the news is, to understand the joke. So I'll click on the hashtag which they've used to make these jokes. Then it'll give me a tweet, will tell me again in a gist what the news is. And then if I feel compelled enough, I'll go to a tweet which has linked to the news piece and then go. But that's basically, nowadays I only read the news so that I can get the jokes that people are making about it on Twitter. But yeah, Twitter is the biggest source of news for me.
Do you also
nowadays
check out memes on Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, I do, of course.
Wow.
So then
so much fun.
I want to know the memes based off of that. So yeah, that's what we have come to. Give us news so that we can understand jokes about it.
There should actually be an app that tells you what the news is through a meme.
Through a meme. It's a great idea, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
we
instead of in shorts,
like
it should be like in shorts.
I mean, in shorts is kind of like Tinder for news, because it's all swiping. Have you noticed?
Apart from the swiping, there's nothing else common, I think.
Yeah, you're not taking the news out for a date, Gaurav.
I know. Whatever.
But yeah, dude, like if India wins a tournament, it should be like that little kid doing the fist pumping thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there you go.
I think.
And like
That might be
caption,
a good
India
idea,
wins.
Yeah.
Simple.
India wins. What a
Yeah.
great meme.
And you now know something you didn't before.
Yeah.
It'll be, oh yeah, man. I'm just thinking all the
Let's do
memes that
this.
can come. Like if there's a scam or something, you can just put one of those ain't nobody got time for that thing.
Great.
Okay, that's our cue
Yeah,
to
our
wrap
sound
up.
engineer is like, okay guys, you guys are losing it now. He's got to go check out the memes on his own phone. Okay, so it's pretty clear from this conversation that at least the three people in this room in this studio get or prefer to get their news in a more compact form. But you'd still be open to reading something in depth, right? I mean,
Yeah, so the only time I read newspapers is when
But you
I
can read
am...
in depth online also.
See, here's the thing. You can read in-depth online, agreed. But like I said, there are UI problems and all of that. But
Yeah.
let's take, if there's some news about Donald Trump, okay? I know that a few months down the line, some journalists will write a book about it, which will be much more in-depth and much more, there'll be much more to read and explore, and they'll have the advantage of the passage of time to see how that news stands.
Right.
So I'm like, I'd rather read that
Yeah.
book if it comes out.
Also,
right?
reading a long article online is tricky because it's so distracting because you're always
Right.
flooded with notifications. If
Exactly.
you're on your laptop, you have so many tabs open, you're doing so many things. So yeah, the only time I read a newspaper is when I'm actually like waiting in a doctor's office or like newspapers lying around and
So
yeah,
if you-
newspaper pada hai, time.
Moral
hai.
of the story is if you want to keep up with the news, fall sick and find yourself in the doctor's appointment room.
Or
Stay
download
healthy and keep going to the doctor to check your health.
InShots and get push notifications.
We're really promoting InShots on this. InShots better sponsor this show for us. But yeah, I guess that brings us to the end of today's show. This was IVM Daily. The three producers on the show were Abbas, Jaanam and Gaurav. So you can catch us online individually. I am at Abbas Momin on Twitter.
I am at Jaanam Diwan on Twitter.
And I am...
I am on Instagram.
Gaurav does not have a Twitter or a Facebook. I mean, he does have a Facebook account which he hasn't uploaded for a while, but he's killing it on Instagram, guys. So he's always willing to get more pictures.
I have no idea what you guys are saying. I have like 300 followers, okay?
Please follow. What's your Instagram handle, Gaurav?
It's Ayya_G.
There you
AYYA.
go. Right now,
G.
close this app, go to Ayya Instagram and please like all of Gaurav's
I
posts.
swear, I'm creating a Twitter account today just for this. Just so like I don't get like bullied over here for only having Instagram.
Alright, so and you can of course follow IVM Podcasts on various social media platforms. We are IVM Podcasts on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. and
if you have anything to share with us, use the hashtag IVM Daily.
Yes, please suggest us something. If you want us to talk about something, we are open to that. You can catch us every day on IVM Daily. So that was today's episode.
If you guys have suggestions for topics to talk on the show, you guys can either tweet Abbas or Jaanam or DM me on Instagram or at IVM Podcasts.
Alright, we'll see you tomorrow on another episode of IVM Daily. Bye-bye.
Bye.
He bends down to test the warm water for his bath. He comes here to quench his thirst for a hot shower and some podcasts. You can witness how he enjoys having other people talk about cool stuff in his bathroom. Indeed, it helps him with his loneliness. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcast.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.